So now I'm going to teach you how to make this buttercream. I call this practice buttercream because I use shortening or margarine in it along with butter also. So this is a 1:2 simple American buttercream. So you could use the same recipe and replace shortening that I have here with butter. So basically we have 100 grams of shortening, 200 grams of butter and 600 grams of icing sugar in the bowl. Now using shortening is to increase the stability of this buttercream because we are going to use this for doing all our piping practices through this course. We have like a lot of numbers of piping practices that we might have to do. So basically if it is all butter and we keep squeezing it through the piping bag as we work, then the butter will melt quickly and you may not be able to reuse the buttercream. Because we're going to scrape it up and then reuse it multiple times. We are going to fill into multiple piping bags and use. So to increase the stability of the buttercream, to reuse it as many times, I have used shortening. You don't have to follow this recipe to fill and frost a cake because we know we don't want to use shortening inside the cake that you want people to actually eat it. So as this is a simple American buttercream with a ratio of 1:2. So you don't need any liquid. This is going to come together in a simple creaming method. Now if you're going to use the same ratio, a simple American buttercream, like I said, you skip the shortening, but this 100 grams of shortening will be replaced by butter. In that case it will be a 300 grams of butter to 600 grams of icing sugar, and you follow the same process and then you have an American buttercream which will be an all butter buttercream. Now we are going to do the practice buttercream which will involve shortening also. Okay, so I have my stand mixer here. Also the icing sugar has been sifted already, so you will have to sift it well and remove all the lumps. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside. And I have my KitchenAid here. First I'm going to use the balloon whisk, the wire whisk, and I'm going to start with the shortening or the margarine. So first let's just soften up the shortening now. So I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. And now beat it again until you have the shortening softened up. Like it's taken about a minute, and then on top of that I'm going to add butter. Butter you want to keep it in room temperature, say for about an hour before it's ready to get into the bowl. Now again I'm going to beat the butter and the shortening together until they are combined well, and you want the fat alone to get soft before you add the icing sugar. Just scraping down the sides to combine the shortening and the butter well. scrape down so it's combined well. I'm going to beat one more time before I start adding the icing sugar. Just want to show the combined shortening and the butter turns quite pale, and that's when I just want to start adding the icing sugar. So into this I'm going to add the icing sugar a little at a time, and I'm going to fold this first. It's going to become like a dry crumble, but we're just doing this to avoid the icing sugar just flying out of the bowl. So this will come together as we're going to put it back into the beater, but initially just have all the icing sugar added in. So that's last part of the icing sugar. So this mixture, I'm just going to put it on the stand mixer and then beat this now on slow speed until everything comes together, and then let's increase the speed. So I've just been increasing the speed. It's going to turn pale whichever is just getting beaten up well. So I just want to show how the place where the beaters been touching and beating, you can see it's creaming well and it is turning pale. However, the ones that is just on the edge of the bowl is still there without incorporating enough air. So it's important that you need to stop in between, scrape down, and then put everything together and then beat again on again, medium high speed to high speed, putting everything together. And now depending on the temperature you work in, and also depending on the temperature of the butter that you chose to use in the buttercream, and if you're working in an AC environment, or maybe you're just working in your house environment where in your kitchen you don't have AC going on and stuff, the texture of this buttercream may be hard and you might have to add few drops, like say maybe start with quarter teaspoon of water at a time and then keep adding to get the right consistency you want. Right now this looks a bit too tight because this environment is cold and because I'm working in AC. So now, but because we haven't combined everything all around that was sticking to the sides of the bowl, I just scrape them down. I'm going to run the beater on medium speed for another 2 minutes and then decide if I need to add some more water, and I'll show you when we get to that stage. So now again it's been incorporating air. It looks good, whatever is there in the center. You can see this is just turning light and fluffy, and I'm going to again scrape put it back again and beat on medium high speed again. So now it's been beating and the middle part is all quite aerated. I'm going to switch over to the paddle. So now this paddle attachment, as it has the silicone blade, it's just going to scrape through the sides and then bring everything together. And I can see that this is quite stiff for me, so I'm going to add in the water as well at this stage. So I'm going to add water now because it looks quite stiff. Like I said, I'm going to use, say this is about a tablespoon of water. You may not be able to say exactly how much water each of you would need. So depending on how stiff the buttercream is as you make, you just need to start adding about a teaspoon at a time and then keep beating. When it all comes together, it looks like really very fluffy and light and not too stiff. Then we just stop adding the water as we need. So I'm just going to beat this and let's see how the consistency is going to change. So now it looks good. Let me just check the consistency. Now I should be able to just scrape down easily. Now if you're going to add colors into this, and that will be some extra moisture, so that will anyway add some extra liquid content. to this one looks good at this stage. I'm going to beat this for another couple more minutes and add say about another teaspoon of water. I'm going to put it back along with the paddle attachment itself and then continue beating for another 2 minutes. So it's been beating quite good. You can see the color has turned quite pale and nice. I'm going to take this out of the stand mixer. Now in case you are going to flavor this up, say basic to use even vanilla extract, just in case it is an all buttercream, the method nothing changes. Rest of all the steps that I have done here will remain the same, except for the addition of margarine will just not be there, and the every other stage where we're just going to beat the butter until it's light and fluffy, and then addition of icing sugar and then beating them with a wire whisk, and then getting the paddle at the end, and all that will remain the same. Now if you're going to use this simple American buttercream in your cake, then you could use vanilla extract. I haven't used it because this I'm going to use it for piping, like I said. So you can see the use of paddle will just remove too much air bubbles and it will just quite soften up. This again, as I will be using in smaller portions to fill the piping bag, and I will also be coloring it, and when I'm going to just mix them all up together, then the lot of air and the air bubbles that you see here will just disappear, and then we'll have a smooth buttercream. Okay, so this I'm just going to divide into smaller bowls and then add the colors. And if you want to use them plain, then these are ready to go to get filled in the piping bags, and then we could just start piping the practice piping lessons. Or if this buttercream you are making to use it for any other purpose, like for filling or frosting the cake as well, then this American buttercream is a crusting type of buttercream because there is loads of icing sugar in that, and if you're going to leave it open, then you're going to have a crust that will be formed on top of the layer. So if you're going to use it up like maybe even half an hour or an hour later, then this needs to be cling wrapped, surface wrapped at least, or transfer this into piping bags right away. Do not keep it on the bowl. In the next lesson, I'm going to start using this to color and show you. So I'm just going to stop here, and then I'll get back in the next lesson where I will show you how to use this practice buttercream to color, and then move on with the rest of the piping lessons.